School.
Yeah.
Did you know really what you should be eating?
No, I didn't eat it. Like, I'll be honest, I used to go down to the shop at lunchtime, and I think it was 50 cent. You had 50 cent and you had a crisp roll.
A roll, yeah.
And that's it. And that's, that was, and like, to be fair, like, Mum would have made me sandwiches and stuff like that, but I would have eaten them at little lunch. And then big lunch came around and you kind
didn't
of
have anything.
didn't have anything. So
Yeah.
like, I'll go down, and I like, back then €1 would get you your lunch.
So much.
But I didn't know what I wrote, like, what went into a white baguette, or crisps or anything like that. I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
And I suppose genetics for me, like, my mum and dad are quite lean. My brothers and sisters were quite lean, so I'm probably lucky in that.
You
and
probably
grandparents.
eat the crisp roll. And
Yeah, but I was been active. I was
Yeah.
probably doing exercise at least 5 days a week throughout my whole junior cert and leaving cert.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah, I began to see some good results.
And in any of this time, did you kind of realise about your nutrition at all? Or was it still...
There was a little, not a whole lot. There was a little bit kind of, I always remember around about then, it was about your recovery snack.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you having straight after? And, you had like the things like your fruit bars and your cereal bars and all those sort of things that were kind of probably mass produced, probably very high on sugar. But at the time that was okay. So, I began to understand that, and even hydrating yourself as well. Like Lucy, who was coaching me at the time, was like, you can do something simple like orange juice, water and a pinch of salt, for like, keep yourself hydrated during and post training. So those little things, I began to kind of understand things a little bit more. But like, my mum was a good cook as well, so if there's any races coming up, she'd be like, oh, get the pasta in and a bit of carbo loading. But in terms of any overall kind of like looking after my diet from one end of the day to the next, not really.
A question that I get sometimes from parents is about protein powder for younger athletes. Now, you probably take some protein powders now, but looking back, do you wish you could have availed of them, or? No,
I think looking back now, I think what would have been really beneficial was actually just making sure that I was getting my daily diet right. Like protein powders and stuff like that, they have their value add. It's a time and a place, but I think when you're that age as a teenager, it's more about kind of getting your breakfast, your lunch, your dinner, and some healthy snacks. Like, I don't think you need to be supplementing at that age, unless you are deficient in something. But that's where, by working with a nutritionist or a dietitian, you begin to understand that and maybe been tested on it. But I think in terms of like from a parent's role, because I go into schools as well and I get asked that question. I get young lads asking me about like creatine and protein recovery drinks, and like at that age I knew nothing about that. It was literally trying to get your daily diet, and that's what I always tell people. Like, it's like there's kind of 3 areas I look at from nutrition, and you've got your fundamental nutrition, so that's what you're consuming, so your breakfast, your lunch, your dinners, and then there's kind of performance. So again, if you're into a certain sport, well then you might need to adjust your fundamental nutrition to cater for that, and then it goes into the elite side, and that's where your supplements will come in. So that's kind of the way I'd look at it. But like looking back, I think getting an understanding of food at a young age, I probably would have worked on it a little bit better earlier on, and particularly if I was aware about it. Absolutely.
And we'll stay on the topic of food.
Because I like food.
Because you like food.
I do like food.
You're known for a couple of recipes here and there. Where did it all begin? Was it the good old MasterChef days?
No, it was a good bit before that. So when I was in DIT, I finished my degree in 2006, and I was very much like, what am I going to do next? Because in 2005, I won my first European title, 400 meters indoors, and that kind of gave me huge belief. It was like, do you know what, maybe I can actually go somewhere in this sport. Maybe I can have a career, because I'd never really thought about that before. And as a kid, I did want to be a professional footballer, but I wasn't that good at soccer. But I always kind of wanted to be that kind of pro-professional athlete, and it wasn't until Madrid in 05 then I actually began to believe, and I was thinking, God, maybe I could make a bit of a career out of this. I didn't know where, how long, or anything like that. But so I finished my degree, and I can remember coming home, and I was sitting there, and Mum was doing the ironing in front of the TV, the Tuesday night or whatever it was, and it was a bit like, right, what are we going to do next? And a lot of my friends at the time were like getting jobs, straight out of college, getting jobs. It was just before things began to kind of really boom here in Ireland, and some of my mates were buying cars, they were buying houses, and I just didn't really know kind of what I wanted to do, and I had that success the year before, so I was kind of just talking to Mum, and I just said, you know what, I want to give this a go.
Yeah.
And Mum was like, well, you know, I think maybe if you want to go full time, you might need to like move to England. And that was the kind of, I suppose, the seed was planted then, and I just thought, you know what, yeah, I want to give it a go. And I made a promise with myself then that I didn't want to get to the age of 30 and look back and go, what if?
What if?
So that was my why, as they say, and that was it. That was really when things began to take off. I decided, and it was hard because I had to go to like Jim Kidd, who was my coach, and kind of say, Jim, I'm leaving, you know, I'm getting great success, you know, I was getting faster, I was improving, I'd won a Europeans, and now to sit down with the guy who like volunteered his time to coach me and at weekends and evenings, and he had a job, a family and all that, and that was quite hard, but I kind of used that as a bit of confidence, you know. So if I was going to go to that and sit down with him and tell him I was leaving, that's going to give me confidence to actually follow through and do it. So I did, and I moved over to Loughborough University in the UK, and the main reason was I wanted to better myself, and there was people there that were running faster than me, simply running quicker than over 400, and I thought, well, if I can be there day in, day out, that has to help. And I loved it. I loved the environment, and things went really well from there.
Brilliant. And was that where you kind of understood maybe your nutrition a bit more?
Yeah, everything. Yeah, like I suppose prior to that, it was all about just going down and training and trying to train as hard as you can.
Just get better.
Just get better. That's going to happen, you know. And I can like when I went over to England, it was a case of like suddenly I had to buy my own food. I had to live somewhere. I had to find somewhere to live. I left the nest. I was flown the nest. So it was a case of, you know, find somewhere to live, and then it was the simple, practical things that take place every day, feeding yourself. And that's where I began to understand the importance of food, because I, for once, was going out and doing my weekly shop. So walking around the supermarket and picking up products, and obviously I was there in England because I wanted to better myself as an athlete. So I began to kind of like, I suppose, take that holistic approach to like, right, okay, if I want to be a better athlete, yes, my training's important, but what about my rest and recovery? What about my food, my nutrition? And that's where I really honed in on it. And to be honest, I didn't have the answers. I didn't know. So for the first time, I started working closely with a nutritionist. And one of the best things he did with me was he brought me shopping. And we walked around the supermarket, and I'd be picking up things going, oh, this is meant to be really good. And then he'd say, well, look at the ingredients, look at the amount. And then I began to understand about the ingredients, the way they're listed, what is in food, the nutritional information. And then getting an understanding about my event for 400, what do I need to do? Do I need to bulk up? Do I need to actually put on muscle, which would require me consuming more food? Or do we actually need to lean up, lose a bit of weight? You know, so all these things that I'd never really thought about. And then it was a case of, okay, well, what's a good breakfast? I'm going to go training at 10 o'clock. Okay, what do I need post-training? So that's where like recovery started really coming in, and the role of supplements, you know, and the ease that I could get food into my body. Because I was training, I'd gone from like, you know, let's say amateur to semi-professional. I was training 6 days a week, twice a day, you know, so all of that came, you know, really to the fore about, okay, well, how are you feeling yourself, your rest and recovery, and I was training with better people. So I didn't want to turn up at training and have my backside handed to me. I wanted to make sure that, you know what,
you were ready to go.
I was ready to go, you know, and having my bag packed and making sure that, you know, I had everything like down to a T. So I got really into it that way, and even my rest and recovery, again, like simple things. I've been consistent with my sleep and making sure that I was getting my regular like 8-9 hours per night, and, you know, getting into bed and reading a book as opposed to having a TV in the bedroom. Simple stuff that, you know, I think sometimes we just overlook them. We do overlook them, and even getting into the mindset side of it as well. Like I'd never really kind of honed in on goals before that. I used to write down, and we do it like every January 1st. I used to write down, okay, I want to run 46 seconds for 400. I'd write it on a piece of paper and I'd stick it on my bedroom wall. That's it. Goal set and done. It's going to happen. It has to happen. It's up on the wall. And it was only when I kind of moved to England and I sat down with Nick, my coach, and he was like, well, like, you know, what do you want to get out of this year? I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, you know, where do you want to go with this? What championships? What races? And that's when I began to kind of realise, well, if I want to go to this championship, I have to run this. Right? How am I going to do that?
Well, break that down.
Break it down. So then, like, you get into like your long-term goals, your short-term, your medium, all that sort of stuff, and that's really when I think my mindset kind of kicked into gear, and I began to kind of put things in place every single day. You know, so all of that together. But the food was something I actually really began to enjoy. I actually found it quite therapeutic. So you come in the evening time, you start chopping courgettes and peppers. You don't be thinking about what you did earlier in the day or your session tomorrow. You know, so I actually found that quite good. And I think as well, the big thing was that when you stand behind the blocks ready to race, you want to make sure that you want to have that confidence within you that you've left no stone unturned.
You've done everything.
And that was the big thing for me. And I could do that throughout my career. You know, I went for it and made sure that crossed the T's and dotted the I's. You know.
And